Okay, and so the final area we're going to work on is the lower torso area, the kind of where his stomach is, and his crotch and other surrounding areas. And you noticed right off the bat that I actually had some of the legs added there, and I actually just brought them in and decimated them so they wouldn't make my computer any slower when I'm working on this, but they would also give me information as to where this is inserting, because I need this to fit really well with the legs. The upper torso, it's kind of it'll be a little bit easier, but there needs to be a lot of integration with the legs, and so I felt it necessary to unhide those or keep those in, just to make sure that we can integrate this really well. And so I went ahead and made the first crotch piece. And now I'm moving on to the bum area. And when you're designing a character, one thing to really keep in mind is you don't want the buttocks area and the crotch area to look like their buttocks and a crotch, because what that'll actually do is it'll just really distract the viewer, and for some reason, as humans, we just kind of look towards that area, and so if you just make them look kind of ambiguous and not so much like the area that they actually are, it'll help to kind of let the viewer look at the entire character and not just kind of the moment they see it zoom in on that one area. You really do yourself a disservice when that happens. So it's best to try to avoid as much as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my clipping brushes to make this look good. And then we can go ahead and use clip curves. Not clip curves, group loops. And so now what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and fix these tubes, because these tubes are really not usable. They're actually a single mesh, and they wouldn't deform well. So I'm going to go ahead and move this into place. Here we go. And I need to make sure that these integrate well into the legs. So I've gone ahead and added the legs, or the underleg, to have something to connect to. I really need that. All right, so now this is kind of the oblique area. Just a little armor piece there. And it's kind of a floating armor piece. Not that it's floating off the mesh, but that it's kind of lonesome. It's by itself. And that's just so he has an easier time bending his torso. So we can go ahead and clip all of this out. There we go. That looks pretty good. So once we use group loops on it, we can go ahead and just extract another piece out of it. So go ahead and mask that out, and then use extraction. All right, so I got a little bit of a messy subtool from that. So what I wanted to do was go ahead and delete the floating geometry. And now we can just use trim dynamic to get that nice angular feel that we were able to get on the upper arm. You can see it's not the cleanest thing, but after this we go ahead and use the H polish brush to clean it up. All right, so it's nice and clean. And it's giving me kind of this floppy edge here. It's not really attractive, like a runny nose. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this out. Just clean up the edges with the clipping brushes. Alrighty, so now I'm kind of making the under armor, the kind of softer area. And I'm just trying to make it so these tubes kind of enter into that. Maybe connect into his abdomen somehow. I don't know how, but somehow. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull up the part of the mesh around it and then inflate it. And what that does is it kind of gives the illusion that it's set in there. Alright, so this is the second crotch piece. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I've already extracted it, or I haven't extracted it, but I've made a remesh. And what I'm going to do with it, I'm just going to clean it up and then use that to make a few more meshes around it. So here we are. It's pretty clean. I need to use the clipping brushes a little bit on it, kind of change the size of it. And remember, you don't want this to be colliding with his legs when he's moving around. So this is, I remade the, or I just duplicated the piece, and what I've gone ahead and done is deflated it using the inflate function. And that allows me to kind of get that area in the center, that little inset area that you see, and to just allow that to, or just to make that a little bit easier. So I've extracted this piece, my outer piece. So now you can see we have this nice kind of, it certainly looks like it has a lot of function. Looks like it opens right up and there's easy access, so that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and create this kind of lever thing right here, using some clipping. And that works out pretty well. Just a few clips, not the simplest clips, not the clips that we've been doing. They're a bit more involved, but not hard to do. Just a bit more involved. And using the H polish brush to clean some of that stuff up there. Alright, so the underpiece, the lower torso actually has a few metal pieces, a few metal pieces of the armor on the upper part of it, and they kind of insert under the larger torso piece, the kind of chest piece. And so we're going to go ahead and extract those and just, we're going to make them really quickly, and then we're going to integrate them into the rubber area. That's the most important part, is making them look like they're integrated. That's what's really going to sell this area of the mesh, is making the rubber look like it's made for this armor, and make it not look like a mere afterthought. So I've gone ahead and smoothed that out because I really wanted to give a nice angle to this. I really think that would serve this this part of the armor really well to give it some kind of angle. So we can go ahead and use the trim dynamic on the full thing. And this doesn't matter how much you mess it up with the trim dynamic, because the H polish brush can always clean it up. Always. So we can move on to the flank pieces now. So just go ahead and extract them. And we'll have to clip it a little bit to make sure that it doesn't collide with the tubing. And the tubing that you see right now, it's going to get a lot more involved in this. Originally, I'd only planned to do this tubing that you see, but I kind of got carried away with it, and it turned out really well, and I had a lot of fun doing it, so tubing is cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and use the clay tubes brush to push my concept mesh in to hide it a little bit better so I can see what I'm doing more. But I still want to see some of the areas of the concept mesh, so that's why I actually, instead of hiding the subtool, I just kind of mess it up by pushing it in. So I'm going to go ahead and mirror that over. And now we can start working on the buttocks a little bit more. So making this integrate isn't too much of a challenge. I'm just going to try to move it around here and see if I can get it to align with the area that it's integrating with, or make it kind of evenly distributed. And then again, I'm just going to use the trim dynamic brush to give this a nice little angle. And then we can move on to the piece that covers that. Alright, so there we go. It looks pretty good. After some trim dynamic action right here, I think we'll pretty much have our lower torso done. And subsequently, all of the base mesh is done, or the clean base mesh is done, so we can go ahead and start detailing. So just go ahead and H-polish all these edges to clean them up a bit. Alright, and there we go.